Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're connecting with us. I'm going to just share my slides. Change the display setting. Excellent. So, Viveka, you can see the entire slides, yes?
Yes, yeah.
Right. Well, thank you very much for joining. I am sure you want to find out and you're eager to find out about the offers that we have. So without wasting any time, let's get into it. The obvious question, why choose KBS? So that will be the obvious question that you might have. Well, full disclosure, we are not in the business of just giving out degrees. We are focused on developing your employability skills, and we are focused on developing your entrepreneurship potential. How do we do it? Sadiq is going to follow up with it and explain exactly how we go about doing it. Okay, that's all very well. I mean, employability skills are entrepreneurship potential. But then you might have a question, are we any good at it? I mean, do we give you the right employability skills? Are they the industrial standard? Are they the current skills? And the answer to that question is, or the reason for that confidence that we are giving you the right skill is our triple accreditation. So what does this mean? This means professional and regulatory bodies such as the Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business, Association of MBAs, they actually come look at everything we do, from our course content, talk to our academics, talk to our students, and they verify, they certify that the skills that we are imparting on our students are the industrial standard. Now, Triple Crown, there's about roughly 120 institutions in the entire world that have the Triple Crown. That's less than 1%, and we're one of them. So that is the reason of our confidence that the skills that we're imparting on you are actually what is demanded in the industry. Now, next question. Okay, great, got those skills, but are they any sustainable? And they are. Everything that we do is based on sustainability, whether it's our teaching, it's our research, it's our events, whatever we do is sustainability is built within it. Yes. Now, what is the benchmark? The benchmark is, of course, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. So you're getting these industrial relevant skills, in-demand skills, but you're also getting these sustainable, futuristic skills. Okay. Are we any good at this, right? Giving you all these skills? Then the answer is yes. No longer can universities hide behind a single ranking. There's so many different versions of ranking. And as you can see, we pretty much do well in all of them, especially the last part. If you look at the last part, which says 80% of KBS research deemed as world leading. The researchers are your teachers. So they bring that research back to their teaching. So not only do you have the relevant skills, the future skills, the sustainable skills, but you also have the cutting edge skills. So all that is packaged in our January start courses. Now, for the very first time, this time around in January, we're starting with MBA. The other are the 5 MSc programs that I'm just going to quickly, very, very quickly go over so you have a fair idea about what they have to offer. Okay. If you're interested in the global dynamics of business, understanding how management, marketing, operations, they work on a global scale across cultures, then International Business and Management is the course for you. This will tell you how decisions are made across cultures in different settings, which is highly important because the world has globalized. So you need to kind of have that skill with you, that understanding of the international environment. On the other hand, if you are interested in infrastructure, energy, large-scale digital projects, then project management is the way to go. Again, telling you how projects are formed, how they're evaluated, how they are to be made sustainable. Now, important thing in this is that you notice that it's not just project management, it's strategic project management. So what does that mean? simple the fact the world is changing. AI is becoming a very important part of decision-making process. So when you have strategic project management, you're looking at that context and you're deciding more strategically. So these are the skills if you're interested in more of management or strategy focus. Now, if you like big data and you want to analyze data in order to find out what you can do in terms of forecasting or how that impacts consumer behavior, how that impacts digital marketing, how that impacts business intelligence, then you might consider digital marketing and analytics or just business analytics. This is where you learn a computer language such as Python, and then understand how you can use that to apply to this very huge source of data nowadays, whether it's social media or whether it's emails or whatever not. How can you use that information to make those best decisions? And if that is what you're looking for, then you are going to go and take one of these courses, which of course is in high demand. The demand for analytics is very, very high nowadays. Now, if you want a fast track into healthcare leadership, then global healthcare management is what you're looking for. This is where you're taught about healthcare systems, policy, management, global health challenges. It's all Q1s, whether strategy, finance, all the approaches that are taught to you, or the skills that are imparted to you under global healthcare management, is for you to become or take positions as a non-clinical leadership roles, right? So this is, if you want those positions, if you have a professional degree or you don't have a professional degree, you can still do MSc Global Healthcare Management that help you propel you towards the, even in terms of policy making or leadership roles. This is one of the courses that you might consider. Now, if you want to become the leader in business and you've worked 3 to 4 years or more than that, and this is time for you to take that next leap, MBA is the way to go. This is where leadership, strategic management, advanced business skills, this is where you're learning whatever you've learned in terms of your work experience, you convert it to the next level of leadership. Very high demand in GCC countries, in Southeast Asia, in Africa, even in UK and Europe. There's a huge demand for MBAs. They want people who can think sustainably, who can have skills that can help them transform to the next level. And that's what you get if you do an MBA. Right. So what is the entry criteria? So the entry criteria in this case, obviously, if you have a UK degree, it has to be a minimum second class, or we can, of course, compare it with internationally recognized qualifications as well. You would need to take the English language test. There is an alternative for not taking the test, but it's longer and more expensive. So for instance, if you want to do mode of instruction or medium of instruction, if English is the medium of instruction for your undergrad degree or your other degrees that you've done, then you would need to submit this to ACTIS, which is the Education Consultancy and Credit Transfer Information Services. They take around 6 weeks, and the cost for this is around £252, which is far more than the cost of any of the tests or any of the English tests that are accepted. But that is an option that you might want to consider. Now, if you have graduated more than 3 years ago, then you would need to have a employer's reference. If it's less than 3 years, then it has to be an academic reference. But for MBA, it has to be an employer's reference because you obviously worked 3 years or more in the field. Now, personal statement is crucial. We look at everything. So in terms of your degree, we look at your marks, we look at your relevant subjects, we look at all those aspects, but your personal statement is key. This is where you have to demonstrate to us your passion about doing that particular course and how is that connected to your future. You need to make very clear your journey, your understanding, and how you want to go about doing it, because that makes a huge difference when it comes to our admission decisions. There is guideline provided, a specific guideline in terms of personal statement that you might want to look at, and CV is always a good idea. It always gives us a very good shortened version of who you are, where you're coming from, what you have done, your interest. It gives a very good snapshot. So always a good idea to include that as well. Okay, the cost. So if you want to do one of the MSc courses, that'll be 24,500, and if you want to do the MBA one, it'll be 26,500. However, you have an opportunity, for instance, if you're from India, just to give an example, you can apply for the Kent Future Student Scholarship, and you can apply it in conjunction with the Kent Business School postgrad bursary. So in fact, you can get 6,000 off, and that means your PGT will go down to a potential 18,500, and your MBA cost will go down to 20,500. Now, this is automatic. The only deal is that you have to deposit your tuition, or your tuition fee deposit has to be in by the 5th of December 2025. If you can do this, then both of these will automatically apply. Now, of course, depending on if you qualify in terms of the country, which is India and Pakistan, Africa, and in the global countries, we have a huge list, which includes China, Malaysia, UAE, and Vietnam. Now, there are standalone scholarships that you can apply as well. These are the international scholarship for top master students is £6,000. This is a standalone scholarship. The deadline for this is the 14th of November. The committee sits on this on the 9th of December, and then they make their decision 2 weeks after. You can also, if you are a French citizen with a French passport living in France, or an Indian citizen with an Indian passport living in India, you can also apply for the British Council Great Scholarship, which is £10,000. The deadline for this is 19th November, and the committee sits on 9th of December to decide. And then, of course, within 2 weeks, you will find out whether you got the scholarship or not. So these are some of the key dates that you might want to keep in mind. 8th December is your application deadline, so please make sure that you do make your application by that date. And then, of course, it is important to, if you are international student, you would need to get your CAS, which is the Confirmation Acceptance of Studies. And for that, you must do it by the 5th January 2026. That will be the last date to make sure that you meet all the conditions. And then, of course, this January term date starts on the 12th of January 2026. I would strongly encourage you to book a one-on-one chat with our academic staff. If you have other questions, your specific questions, you want to compare things, you want to discuss it even in more detail, we're more than happy to have a chat with you. You can ask us about our facilities in this short presentation. I didn't mention that we have the 6th most beautiful campus in the UK, or the fact that we are in one of the safest cities and the safest campus in the UK. These are many things that I could not mention in this short presentation, but this is something that you could have a conversation with us, and we can share with you far more details. Any questions that you might have, we are happy to answer. Right, so all this talk about skills and entrepreneurship, how is that embedded in our postgrads courses? For that, I'm going to pass it on to our very capable Dr. Sadiq and very lovable Dr. Sadiq, and he'll explain to you how all this is done in our courses. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. How are we doing? My name is Dr. Sadiq Mohammed. I am the Associate Dean of Education for Kent Business School. And what that means, in simple terms, is that there are around 20 courses that run in KBS. There are about 3,000 students who do all of them, and I look after that entire portfolio. It's me and a big team of directors of studies, assessment leads, senior tutors, etc., all of whom are here to make sure you have a good student experience. Colleagues asked me to present about employability at KBS. What do we actually mean by employability? How does it actually work? And how is it embedded in the curriculum? So that's what I'm going to do. But first, I have a question. If you're applying to a KBS degree, it is probably because you are concerned about your employability in some way. business school degrees are not vanity projects. They are opportunities for you to advance your career. So what is your biggest career-related worry? I'm going to take a second. Feel free to type something in the chat or just reflect on the question if you prefer. But feel free to type something in if you'd like to. What are you worried about in terms of your career? Common answers to this question from applicants might be, I'm worried about finding the right opportunities. I'm worried about navigating the graduate job market. I'm worried about not knowing where to apply or how to apply, or even I'm worried that I don't have the right skills to apply. All of this falls under the heading of employability, right? All of this falls under the heading of how we think about employability at KBS, because it is a holistic concern, right? It is about getting you from where you are to where you need to be in order to get the job that you are looking for, that you are hoping for. So what I want to do today is give you an overview of what we mean by employability at KBS. And I want to help you to understand all the different ways in which we put employability in our curriculum, in what we do here. So let's go. But first, I have another question. What is employability? Does having a postgraduate degree actually make you more employable? Is employability more of a skill or a mindset, or is it just about lucking into the right opportunity? Is it about networking? Is it about finding the right people to give you a job? Is it about knowing how to use AI and being able to integrate that skill set into what you do? Who's responsible for your employability? Is it you? Is it the university? Is it me? Is it the careers service? Are we supposed to give you a job? These are probably all questions that we can start to think about once we open the box and look under the bonnet and see, oh gosh, there's a lot of stuff in terms of employability, right? So I have a question again. Which of the following do you think best explains what employability is? Is it A, being good at interviewing and designing a CV so you can get a job? Is it B, having innate skills that would allow you to be attractive to employers? Is it C, having qualifications that an employer is interested in? D, having work experience to convince an employer to give you a job? Or E, none of the above? What do you think? Take a second, think about it. Either reflect on the question or pop an answer in the chat and I'll see. Rebecca, Zarek, feel free to answer as well.
I do feel like having qualifications is always a big thing, but I do think that interviewing is unfortunately a very big part of connecting in a job.
I see answers. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to say we see C and D
in the chat. I think the answer, or the correct answer, at least in terms of how we think about employability at KBS, is E, none of the above. Being good at interviewing is what we call recruitability. That's the brute skill that you need to be able to get the job, right? D is just de facto. You'll get qualifications, you'll get work experience as part of your life history, right? But what actually is employability? What does it mean to be employable? For us, there's a lot of research on what good employability is, or what employability is for a good student. Cheng and company define it by saying it's a mix of three things. It is a mix of the intrinsic, so your own personal skills, traits, and characteristics, things that you have. It's the extrinsic, your relative chances of finding a job in a given labor market. And then C, the third one, the entrepreneurial, your capacity to be self-reliant, to navigate that labor market, and to use your skills to adapt them to an employer's needs. And when you think about it, this has to be how we think about employability, right? Because as an example, if it was just the skills that you have, then you could be the greatest basket weaver in the entirety of the world. But if we don't actually need that many baskets, you may struggle to find a job, right? So the skills you have don't match up to employers' needs and what's happening in the labor market. You look on a jobs website, nobody's hiring basket weavers, right? However, the converse is also true. You may be a really terrible data analyst, but we are hiring loads of data analysts, and you are willing to entrepreneurially train yourself up, learn some Python, learn some coding, and slide in or pivot or transition from the job that you're in into a data analyst job. Or you're able to describe how the skills you already have will fit that job, right? It is the mix of these three things. That's how we think about employability. It's having the right skills, it's having the right opportunities, and having the ability to pull those two together in a way that matches what employers are looking for. Okay? So I'm going to spend some time talking about how we help you develop the right skills, how we help create opportunities, and how we try and help you to be able to meld those two things together and mix them up so that you can get the right job. Okay? But that's the idea. That's how we think about employability. In terms of skills, if you have a look around various job websites, which I spend a lot of time doing, you will see that there is a big interest in skills when it comes to employment, right? You will typically see when you're applying for a job, there is a person specification, there is a description of what they are looking for. When you look at that, it typically describes skills. Charismatic leader, a effective communicator, a good team worker, right? These are all skills. When, for example, the Institute of Directors did a survey of 400 businesses, what came out in terms of what they are looking for in graduates is transferable skills. So they listed things like numeracy, communication, critical thinking, reliability. I don't know that reliability is a skill, but punctuality maybe. These are the skills that they were looking for in order to say to graduates, this is what it will mean for you to be successful here. We are looking for these skills, right? The IOD was identifying as part of the survey that for many businesses, there's a shortage of these skills. And so it's not about, for them, having the right opportunities to apply or being impressive in the interview. They were looking for skills, those internal attributes. I have a question again, though. What are the key skills you think employers are looking for in graduates? So I just told you what the IOD is looking for, but the IOD covers all industries, right? When they say literacy and numeracy skills, they're talking about every job, from plumbers and builders all the way up to financial executives, right? So for the kinds of managerial roles that you may want to take up, what do you think are the key skills? What do you think are the important things employers are looking for in your area? Feel free to chime in the chat or just reflect on the question. Rebecca, Zarek, if you want to type in the chat as well, go for it. Key skills. I'm going to let that question just sit for a bit, right? There are a lot, and I mean a lot, of mappings of different types of skills that employers might be interested in, okay? This one is the one that I like to show people and talk about because it is huge, right? This is McKinsey's 56 skill deltas. McKinsey is a global consulting firm. They did a big survey of what different employers are looking for, and their conclusion was basically that we can break down all the skills that an employer might want into 4 categories: cognitive skills, interpersonal skills, self-leadership skills, and digital skills, right? And in those 4 boxes, you can break them down further. So you can break down cognitive skills into critical thinking skills. And you can see that somebody might have a skill at structured problem solving, logical reasoning, and finding relevant information, understanding their own biases. You can break down interpersonal skills into team working effectiveness, so being inclusive, motivating people, resolving conflict, collaborating, coaching, and empowering, right? These kinds of different enumerations of skills can be a bit daunting, right? And for McKinsey, it is just them throwing out a blanket approach of, listen, if you want to be effective, we've created 13 skill groups, these ones, and put them in 4 categories that you can think about developing, right? And this does kind of cover more or less everything that you might need to be able to say to an employer, I have these skills, these are attributes I have and will bring to your business, and you'll be covered. I can't remember 56 things though. So here at KBS, we use the university's graduate attributes. There are 8 different graduate attributes. We embed these in our modules, and we try to get our students to leave with these things, okay? Some modules focus on the graduate attributes and try to develop them. Other modules will just embed them and try to develop 1 or 2, right? We will talk about how we do this developing shortly. But for now, the 8 graduate attributes are confidence, creativity and innovation, intellectual curiosity, being critically reflective, having some kind of environmental or social conscience, having resilience, having integrity and accountability, and having some kind of global or cultural awareness. These are all, I think, really interesting, useful skills to be developing. Many of them are extremely relevant to business at the present moment. You know, if you are a business at the moment, you are increasingly socially conscious and aware of how social, environmental movements and responsibilities will shape consumers' willingness to buy your products. So you may be looking for graduates with these attributes, right? Similarly, certainly when I speak to employers, the thing that they highlight that they would like to see is resilience. I want a graduate who doesn't crack under pressure, who doesn't, at the moment they're presented with uncertainty or adversity, crumble and send me 20 emails. I want someone who is resilient and can adapt to changing environments, right? Confidence is invaluable too. Having that ability to stand up in front of a room and communicate clearly and effectively is really important. So for us, these are the kind of graduate attributes that we try to develop both in and alongside the curriculum. We do this because we have to, because as part of our Triple Crown, our accreditations, the ACSB requires us to show that our graduates leave with certain skills. We had to pick 5 things that we tell the ACSB All our graduates have these 5 things, okay? And we have to be able to evidence and guarantee that, otherwise we lose our accreditation. So this is what we commit to the AACSB, that we guarantee our graduates get. So you do get your subject knowledge, sure. You do a degree in business analytics, you learn some analytics, but you also gain a global perspective. You work with teams of people from all around the world, right? You do gain some kind of ethical or sustainability awareness. It's one of the graduate attributes, right? You do gain decision-making skills. These are important for any kind of managerial role. And you do gain communication skills, whether that's written or spoken communication, right? We do that through how we assess students. Here in KBS over the last few years, we have shifted to focus on what we call authentic assessments, right? Ways of evaluating your learning that mirror what is happening in the workplace. So as an example, if you're doing MSc Business Analytics, we're not just going to ask you to write an essay on programming in Python. That would be pointless. We ask you to do software modeling exercises, right? Can you take a big data set and analyze it as you would as a business analyst? If you're on MSc Marketing, instead of asking you to write an academic essay or do an exam, we ask you to do a vlog documenting examples of consumer behavior, right? Yes, you'll feel weird doing it, but looking at consumers and understanding how they behave is, well, it's what we want you to be able to do if you're going into a job in marketing, right? In MSc Finance, we might ask you to write a report to advise on investment strategy, right? Again, you know, the odds are if you're doing a finance degree, you're not going to be owning your own business, right? The odds are you would like a big job in the city where you will be writing up investment advice on portfolios for people who might want to invest with you, right? So you need to be able to do this kind of thing. Healthcare management, same thing. A big part of managing healthcare at the moment is identifying where there are gaps in your service quality and putting in place action plans to change them. This is what we ask our students to do. So the opportunity to get feedback on a thing you will do in your job is how we try to get you to develop some of these skills, whether that's your communication skills, your global awareness, your understanding of your subject, etc., that we would like you to have. We also try and make sure we're developing your skills in how we deliver our curriculum. So we embed a lot of what we call high value or impactful activities into the curriculum, whether that's field trips to go visit local businesses. Here are our MSc Marketing students heading to Horizon of Khufu, which was a VR experience, and they had to write something up on how they thought VR would impact the future of marketing. Here are some of our students on marketing again who did a pitch for the Turner Contemporary, a local business here in Kent, talking about how they could improve the take-up of young people into the museum, right? Guest speakers on our MBA, very popular as well. So we have a lot of these opportunities to visit business, hear from practitioners, do live company projects or challenge modules, as we call them, where you hear from a local business about their problem and pitch a solution back to them, as well as work on simulated business problems, etc., right? These kinds of things are, again, opportunities to develop those skills that we think you will need, all right? Now, as Zarek was implying earlier, and indeed as we all believe as well, entrepreneurialism, being a self-starter, being resilient is an important skill to have. And many of our students do have an interest in starting their own business, or indeed just have an interest in developing their entrepreneurial skills. For those students, we have Aspire. Aspire is our small business incubator. It's the accelerator space for innovation and responsible enterprise. Aspire runs a series of workshops called the Business Startup Journey that happen throughout the year. These are inherently practical workshops. They are organized as opportunities to develop ideas in how you create a business, so ideation, which is an important skill, and practical skills like designing your own website, writing up a business plan, these kinds of things, okay? So Aspire is a competitive, because there is a pitching finals at the end where you pitch your business idea, and a bit like Dragon's Den, and you can attract investment that way. You also get one-to-one mentorship from some local entrepreneurs, etc. Right? So it is a huge opportunity that many of our students take advantage of because it means that they can develop some of these entrepreneurial skills, right? Develop skills in time management, communication, creativity, or just technical skills like being able to design a website, right? But I did say employability was more than just skills. I did. So that skills element is there, and we do that in the curriculum. But employability is also about opportunities, right? It's also about the ability to meet employers, to network, to get your CV sorted, to be able to navigate the careers landscape, to be able to understand the job market. The Careers and Employability Service within the university is a large team that looks after career opportunities for our students. They will offer everything from one-to-one support and mentoring from careers advisors to organizing big careers fairs like EMPFest, which happened a few weeks ago and was a big opportunity for a lot of our students to meet local employers, to meet national employers. We had the Bank of England, we had professional bodies coming in. The Careers Service will also more broadly organize for employers to set up downstairs of where I am in the Simpson building. So PricewaterhouseCoopers came to visit. I think that was last year. And it's a good opportunity, again, as a student, for you to network, meet these employers, hear what they're looking for, understand the job market from their perspective, right? The Careers Service offers a lot of wraparound support for what I called earlier recruitability. So understanding how to write a good CV, understanding how to give a good interview, understanding assessment centers, psychometric tests, all of these things, because they are a key part of how we want to think about, understand, and develop ourselves as students within the business school, okay? So there is a lot of support for developing that other element, that understanding of the job market, ability to navigate it, etc. And I think the message that I want to leave you with is that there is a big buffet of different employability support and opportunities that you can take advantage of while you're a student here, okay? For example, you can make use of live industry briefs in your modules to develop your skills, right? And then transition that into something you can talk about at interview. But you can also attend careers fairs and take advantage of that networking side so that you understand the job market. You can also build up your work experience while you're here and do a professional placement year, right? This is an increasingly popular opportunity for many of our international PGT students because it means that they have the opportunity to live and work in the UK for an additional year as part of their studies. But maybe working for a whole year isn't right for you. Maybe you just want to take advantage of some study abroad opportunities in the summer and build up your understanding of a global portfolio. Maybe you just want to do some part-time work while you're here, or do an internship while you're here and build up your CV that way. Maybe you want to just get good advice on how to navigate the job market. Maybe you want to take advantage of Aspire and the business startup journey, or maybe you just want to wait until after you graduate, don't do that, and take advantage of all of this support while you're an alumnus, because it's available after you graduate as well. All of this stuff is there, and I think it reflects how we think about employability. It is not just your ability to get the job, it's the skills, it's the understanding of the job market, it's being able to adapt those skills for what employers need, and all of that big, broad context is kind of what we try and help to develop while you're here. That is everything I wanted to say. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, I'll pass it back to Vivek and Zarek.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sadiq. That was really thorough, went over a lot of stuff that I feel like, very helpful for our students, as we can see in the comments. Yeah, I think great to, just going to see if we can expand a little more on some of the Aspire stuff. I know they just had their business startup start just, I think last week it was. And I believe for a lot of those, even if you're maybe not necessarily part of the journey, you can still attend some of the workshops throughout the year. Yeah, I know that with the Aspire partnership, they bring in a lot of like local businesses and stuff to do connections. Could you expand on if I know you talked a little bit about some of the student workshops, some field trips, some of the more like local businesses and stuff that Kent works with, or how the KBS works with those other businesses?
Sorry, Rebecca, can you ask the question again?
Sure. Yeah. Sorry. Just how expanding a little more on how the kind of classes can work with like local businesses and partnerships in classes, or is that more kind of through those kind of exterior options like Aspire or?
No, I think we do look for opportunities to embed engagement with businesses into our modules. And there are a number of modules that have various kinds of what we might call consultancy challenge. So we will get in a local employer or a national employer, depending on the size, and they will go, this is the problem I have. And we will task our students to work on that problem and pitch a solution back to them. In some cases, it's a solution the company adopts. In some cases, it's something they move past very quickly. But it's swings and roundabouts. Our students really value the opportunity to see real world applications for what they're learning. You learn a series of analytics techniques programming in Python, and then you get to apply them to a business that is seeking to optimize their warehousing, for example, on a logistics degree, right? So these are things that are eminently practical and are part of our modules.
Sorry, I'm muted. And you did talk a little bit about, thank you, first of all. You did talk a little bit about the modules and kind of the types of assessments. Is it mostly like project-based courses, or like how often, I guess, are like the modules for students? What are the kind of the courses look like a little bit more on like a scheduling kind of level?
Okay. There's two things I'll pick up in there. One is we assess in a way that I think develops skills. So we believe very strongly assessment develops skill. It is not just a thing that you do to get a grade, right? The assessment is not the end. It is a means to an end. And the means to, or the end that we're trying to do is develop your skills. So when students are worried about doing exams, I always tell them there is no managerial job that you can get that doesn't require you to work under time pressure. It's a skill you have to develop, right? Similarly, some students worry about giving presentations. As I am currently doing now, this is a skill you have to have in any kind of managerial job, right? And so we do try and embed a variety of different assessment types so that you develop a variety of different skills as you go through your learning journey. In terms of what the courses tend to look like, our degrees here in Kent are rather uniquely structured. There are 4 academic terms. Most universities have 2. And in each term, students will do 2 subjects, 2 modules, right? This is a model that we are trialing because we have listened to student feedback, which has told us that students really struggle with the workload burden of doing 4 or 5 modules at the same time and having a lot of assessments on those modules. So we have switched to 2 modules at a time. And that does make things a little bit more balanced, a little bit more reasonable for our students.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, if we do have any other questions in the chat, please feel free to put them in there. But if not, thank you so much for talking with us. And I know you did highlight the career services and employability. We'll be running another session on the 25th of November. That's going to be bringing in someone from our career services team to talk a little bit more about how exactly the career services can support students and going a little bit into that. We'll hopefully have some students or alumni to talk with us a little bit about their experiences as well. Yeah, so thank you so much. Oh, we do have a question. When will we find out our finalized timetable for the year?
That is one for me. If you are starting in January, then as soon as you register as a student, you will have access to your timetable, because the timetable is sort of set already. As a January start student, you hop in to our existing timetable. So you will hop into the existing international business and management timetable, and you'll join the modules that students who started in September are starting in spring, right? Don't worry, we designed the programs to be able to accommodate that. You're not missing out. So your timetable is already set. You just have to register as a student and you'll be able to see.
Awesome, thank you. 12th of January when we register. Let me check. See if I can double check our timelines, unless you know the exact time for registration.
Yeah, so as soon as you are fully paid up and enrolled and registered as a student, you can register. I think there is a deadline, but you can register before.
Perfect. So I guess if you go through the processes, make sure you have like accepted your offer and met all your conditions, then you're on the right path. Amazing. And we'll also be running a session, I think in January, that kind of just goes over kind of what to expect and a little more delving into your welcome weekend starting and a little more on the courses and stuff like that. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be on that all KBS events. So yeah. thanks so much for joining. I see Debbie is writing in the chat, so she may have some additional
Yeah, so did you want me to
information.
speak if we're wrapping up? Do you want me to just confirm about the registration?
Sure thing, that'd be great.
Okay, so once all conditions are met, students are sent details to enrol that may or may not involve obtaining a CAS and a visa. If it does, there's a whole process that needs to follow, and then you'll get issued a CAS. If you don't need a CAS or a visa, then once all conditions are met, you'll be asked to enrol. That is done online through the Kent Vision portal. And then once you have done that, you will have access to what Sadiq was referring to, the timetable from there. And then formal registration is done when you arrive on campus. We have usually a little hub set up where students can go collect their ID cards, find out any other information they need to start their classes. And that can be done, as you said, in January. And then we have right through until the 6th of February, where is our cut-off date for students arriving, collecting their ID, formally registering for their class. So somewhere between those dates is technically what we call the registration period.
Amazing. Thank you for that more thorough deep dive in. Okay. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone who came by, and thanks to our lovely academics and our admissions connoisseur for all your helpful information. It's been great. I am just going to put in to the chat the KBS admissions at Kent email. If you do have any further questions, they'd probably be the best person to reach out to if you have questions about your offer. If you are interested in other things, you can also reach out to us at KBS Marketing and Recruitment at kent.ac.uk. But I think if you're specifically have questions about offers and admissions, I would reach out to KBS Admissions. Yeah, thank you so much. Like I said, you can also check out our applicants page to see our upcoming events. We'll have another one, like I said, in November, and we'll have another one in January. So you can register for those now or register for them later if you wish, but they may be helpful in just getting some more sense of what to expect. Yeah, thank you so much for joining, and thanks so much, Sarah, Sadiq, and Debbie.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.